Hi and Assalamualaikum. My name is Nur Hafizah binti Muhammad Asri, S56147. Today I will present for the Individual Assignment Financial Accounting and Reporting 3, ACT 3103 for the semester 2 2020 and 2021. We will begin for the background of company. The company that I have chosen is Chin Hin Group Property Berhad and Amcorp Properties Berhad. For Chin Hin Group Property Berhad, they established since 1977. Chin Hin Group Properties Berhad, or formerly known as Boon Khun Group Berhad, has unveiled its brand mission statement aiming for an extensive breakthrough across global frontier with the support of their highly skilled employees and devoted customers. Through perseverance, careful planning, and execution on its business strategies, they managed to move forward, hence placing them in the lead. Chin Hin Group Property Berhad is an investment holding company with diversified portfolio in first is property development via its subsidiaries. Second is assembly and sales of new commercial vehicles. Third is rebuilding commercial vehicle and bodywork for sale. And the last one is provision of commercial vehicle for rental and fleet management service, which present the optimal balance between current ratio on investment (ROI) and future growth. Led by a strong existing and new management team, CHGP is poised for rapid growth. Their vision is to combine the benefit of their strong foundation and performance-focused culture. Their property segment has started off with their first mid-development project, namely Era Service Residence, which was jointly developed by BKG Development Sendian Berhad, or known as BKGD, and Platinum Eminence Sendian Berhad, or known as Platinum Eminence. For the second company, which is Amcorp Properties Berhad, Amcorp Properties Berhad is under Amcorp Group Berhad, is an investment holding company controlled by Tan Sri Azman Hashim. Their subsidiaries and associated companies are principally involved in the business of financial service, property development, property management, engineering, information technology, and consumer goods and services. Amcorp Group Berhad is established developer in the country with a number of successful projects in its portfolio on the home front. Apart from property development in Malaysia, it is also the objective of Amprop to position themselves as an established property developer and investor overseas. By forging successful partnerships with sound and reputable investors and development, in moving forward, they remain committed to boost their capabilities in the property sector, which would endear them to their customers through good lifestyle concept, good construction standards, and good customer service. We continue for the computation part. The Amcorp Properties Berhad and Chin Hin Properties Berhad. For this assignment, I have chosen liquidity ratio because liquidity ratio is to measure the short-term ability of an entity or company to settle its due obligation and meet unexpected cash settlement. There are several types of ratio in liquidity ratio, such as profit margin ratio, average collection period, current ratio, quick or acid test ratio, and others. In this question, there are only four ratios that we need to calculate, which is current ratio, acid test ratio, account receivable turnover, and inventory turnover. We will start with the current ratio. The current ratio is measured with the current asset divided by current liability. For the Amcorp Properties Berhad, there are 593,862,000 divided by 312,638,000, and we'll get the answer is 1 ringgit and 90 cents. For the Chin Heng Group Property Berhad, the current asset is 138,849,067. For the current liability is 124,503,968. And we will get the answer is 1 ringgit and 12 cents. Based on the calculation, I recognize that Amcorp Properties Berhad has 1.90 times of current asset rather than current liability. This means Amcorp Properties Berhad have RM 1 ringgit and 90 cent current asset for 1 ringgit current liability. For Chin Heng Group Property Berhad, they has 1.12 times of current asset rather than current liability, which means they have 1 ringgit and 12 cents for 1 ringgit of current liability. So this clarifies that Amcorp Property Berhad has a better current ratio than Chin Heng Group Property Berhad to pay back their short-term loan. For the second ratio is acid test ratio. Acid test ratio is measured with the cash and bank equivalent plus marketable securities plus with the account receivable. For the account receivable, there are two separate receivable, which is trade receivable and other receivable. For the Amcorp Properties Berhad, the cash and bank equivalent is 334,130,000 plus with the derivative asset 2,070,000 plus for account receivable, which is trade receivable plus other receivable, 45,038,000 divided with the current liability, which is 312,638,000. The answer is 1 ringgit 22 cents. For the Chin Heng Group Property Berhad, the cash and bank equivalent is 4,710,436 plus with the account receivable, which is trade receivable plus other receivable, amounted is 76,202,603. Divided with the current liability is 124,503,968. And the answer for the Chin Heng Group Property Berhad acid test ratio is RM 65 cents. So based on the calculation, I recognize that the acid test ratio for Amcorp Properties Berhad is 1 ringgit and 22 cents of current asset compared to 1 ringgit of current liability. It means that Amcorp Properties Berhad has more asset that can be generated to cash for the short-term period. For Chin Heng Group Property Berhad, their asset is less than current liability, which is the asset amounted 65 cents over the 1 ringgit for current liability. This will be difficult to them because the asset cannot be generated into cash for the short-term period. For the conclusion, Amcorp Properties Berhad has a better asset which is over than one that can generate to cash easily rather than Chin Heng Property Berhad. For the third For the third ratio is account receivable turnover, which is measured by net sales divided with average account receivable. For the Amcorp Properties Berhad, the net sale is 169,226,000 divided by average account receivable, which is 39,433,000, and we will get the answer is 4.29 times. And for the Chin Hin Group Property Berhad, the net sale is 139,603,168 and divided by the average account receivable, which is 82,834, and we will get the answer is 1.74 times. Based on the calculation, Amcorp Properties Berhad has the highest account receivable turnover, which is 4.29 times over fiscal year, rather than Chin Hin Group Property that only collect their account receivable for 1.74 times over a year. This means that Amcorp Properties Berhad more efficient in the times of collection account receivable rather than Chin Hin Group Property Berhad. For the last ratio is the inventory turnover. Inventory turnover is measured by cost of goods sold divided by average inventory. Cost of goods sold in the both annual report is cost of sale in the statement of profit and loss. For the Amcorp Properties Berhad, the cost of goods sold is 98,797. For the cost of goods sold of Amcorp Properties Berhad, they are 98,797,000 ringgit over by average inventory, which is 203,645,500, and we will get the answer is 0.49 times. And for the Chin Hin Group Property Berhad, the cost of goods sold is 121,805,034 ringgit divided with average inventory, which is 59,296,289, which is we get the answer is 2.05 times. So based on the calculation, Chin Hin Group Property has the highest inventory turnover, which is 2.05 times in a year rather than Amcorp Properties Berhad, that only 0.49 times over a year. This means that Chin Hin Group Property Berhad is higher in rolling their inventory rather than Amcorp Properties Berhad. It is good for Chin Hin Group Property Berhad because their inventory is more efficient than Amcorp Properties Berhad. For the next pages is statement of profit and loss, statement of financial position, and notes of financial statement for the Chin Hin Group. And the next page is for statement of profit or loss, statement financial position, and notes of financial statement for the Amcorp Properties Berhad. That's all from me. Stay safe and thank you.